Alrighty then, it's time for a Sejuani game, and this one is quite painful. Or sick one. It's a sort of trend right now that every game seems to be filled with suffering. Too. And I know people were a little upset that the Nocturne one and the Jax one the other day were rather negative. I can't avoid that. Solo queue just seems to be very toxic in this latest week. Anyways, Runes and Masteries, it's 12-0-18, and Attack Damage Red, Attack Damage Quince, Armor Yellow, and Magic Resistance Blues. That's not a mistake. I took those runes to amplify my early clearing speed, because as of late, it's been very painful, because a lot of players want to kill you. So, I had to amplify her early game just a little bit. I tried invading against Graves, but he seemingly cleared it a lot faster than I thought he would, so that was a waste of time. Not the biggest waste of time, but still. Now, I'll tell you this much, my bottom lane is going to feed uncontrollably, and I'm going to have to try to save them, but I'm not going to be able to muster anything. It's spoiler alert, I guess. Right now, a lot of my team is going for kills, playing super aggro, and getting themselves punished. Trundle is basically forced home, though he did manage to get all the flashes from the enemy team, and my mid laner is in a very volatile lane against someone who's very dangerous. So I kind of have to assist everybody right now. And I'm either trying to, I was trying to force the gank top lane because Trundle had no flash, Sion had no flash, but unfortunately Trundle got too aggro. Either way, Graves goes to gank Twisted Fate, and LeBlanc does the odd choice of just going around, which basically splits them up and allows us to sandwich the Graves and pretty much put him on a 2v1 situation. LeBlanc cannot cross me. So Graves dies rather easily and gives the kill to Twisted Fate. Here, the enemy team, the enemy bottom lane, actually managed to make it upriver. Ezreal doesn't really try to stop them, so it turns into a pretty messy-ass fight. LeBlanc manages to survive because she's just pretty much going to use her blink tactics to escape, while Twisted Fate is hanging in there. I flash, but not enough to auto-attack her to apply my slow, and I get killed by Poppy and LeBlanc. Fortunately, Twisted Fate picks up the kill just before he gets murdered by Poppy against the wall. So that was a very messy fight. It could have probably been a little bit better if Ezreal actually joined the Blitzcrank and we had a little bit more damage. So yeah, either way, Caitlyn didn't go home, so she has no mana, and meaning she has no escape. So we catch her. I ignore Poppy's WR completely. I don't bother using my Q until it's gone, and we managed to kill the Caitlyn. Well, slowly kill the Caitlyn. Then we turn our attention to Poppy, and we managed to pick her off too. Graves just putting in pock shots whenever he can. Then LeBlanc shows up, well, she's going to show up right now, and almost kills me. I don't want to lose on any assists or anything, so I end up going back in and giving a whack to Graves because I thought I wasn't going to get absolutely murdered there. But he managed to pick me off. Sion ends up showing up. LeBlanc turns around and murders the Ezreal, who went into melee range against both Sion and the LeBlanc. And this entire match is just fucking like it's a masterpiece of disaster. 8 minutes in and 15 deaths have occurred. As you can see, my bottom lane Ezreal is going blue Ezreal. And that's absolutely worthless in this composition. If you think about it, look at my composition. We're all pure engage. We're all about making that big, grand, explosive entrance and then just wiping the floor with the enemy team. Blue Ezreal is about kiting and slowly whittling down the enemy. So, given this composition, blue Ezreal is beyond stupid. So yeah, you're going to see how that's going to work out this game. Anyhow, Sejuani, she's still a little bit nerfed. Well, she's definitely nerfed from where she used to be, but she's obviously workable. Her problem right now in the jungle is more that a lot of the predators that would destroy her or would ignore her that she can't stop are prevalent. So I picked her this game because I figured my opponent was going to be either Poppy or Graves, and I figured they weren't going to be that dangerous. They weren't going to absolutely wreck me or anything. So Sejuani would work out rather well, and it would complement the composition we have. I think Sejuani and Twisted Fate are a good combo because I can trap somebody here and chain CC them down and murder them. I just figured a full-on engage comp with Sejuani would have worked. It's not turning out to be that way because there's so much disorganization, so many tiny fights being fought all over the map. I'm not able to use my CC as best I can. So far, the only ultimate that I've gotten off that was good was against the tower dive against the enemy team, but that's because they were huddled. It's like we don't have a proper team fight so far. If anything, everybody, including the enemy team, are just kind of on their own and they're getting picked off. Just watch this though. We catch the Poppy. She has no way of escaping, and it would have been easier if this goddamn Ezreal actually paid attention. If he just hit her one time, it wouldn't have been this, disastrous. We managed to kill her, but it took so long that LeBlanc was able to show up. I managed to flash away before he had murdered, but if he had joined, it could have been such a cleaner kill. I wouldn't have to burn my flash, and we may have been even able to turn our attentions against the LeBlanc. So yeah, there's death and chaos everywhere, and my bottom lane, or mostly the Ezreal because the Blitzcrank is on the ball, is just... there's no words to describe this. There's obviously arguing and fighting going around. You can see the ping spam on my minimap. This is not a happy game. But the thing is, all the other games I played this day were also like this. Everyone was fighting. Nothing good was happening. Solo queue right now is such a disaster. I'm just wanting to ignore everybody at the start of every game. I gave these guys a chance because the Blitzcrank and the Twisted Fate were friendly to the people who were being dicks at the beginning. Still though, I'm like me, I've never left the game, and I only truly surrender once the game is done. Like, I will want to surrender. I will want to give up, like, okay, this game's over. But as long as, no one's... as long as the surrender has failed, I'm going to at least keep trying or doing things. So, at this point, everyone's just yelling at each other and just saying, let's surrender in 2 minutes. Well, 4 minutes in this case. And if the surrender fails, I'd keep playing. I'm just doing my best with whatever I have right now. Fortunately, again, the Blitzcrank and the Twisted Fate are sort of on the ball. Trundle and Ezreal are their own little worlds right now, just doing whatever, and we're going to react to them. Poppy keeps trying to make some plays happen during mid lane, and this actually gives a good indicator of where they're going to be. Poppy and Graves and everybody are going to try to gank Ezreal from behind because he's just so pushed out. So we're able to cut them off. I managed to catch Graves and start punishing him, but unfortunately, my team isn't on the ball on this one. We do kill the Graves, but Twisted Fate was off in his own little world and got himself killed. And we get sandwiched in the worst position possible, so Sion just absolutely butt wrecks us. And then Ezreal accomplishes nothing because he's got absolutely no damage. Even though we had all the aggro, Ezreal couldn't do jack dick, and then he died. That build is awful. I mean, it has times where it can be useful, but in this specific game, it is the worst fucking thing he could have built. Well... he could have built worse, obviously, but you get what I'm trying to say. Sorry, I'm a little bit under the weather still because it's winter, and it's funny. I'm playing Sejuani and it's winter. That's making me sick. This game is making me sick. Anyway, Sejuani's greatest trait still is just her bomb ass initiation. Even though we're losing, one of my ultimates, being nailing enough good targets, can turn this whole thing around. So I'm just waiting for the opportunity to rise. I need to be able to catch at least Graves, Caitlyn, or LeBlanc, 2 of them, and we can wipe the floor with them. If those guys die, their damage goes to nothing. Poppy and, support Poppy and Sion just don't have enough damage. I get exactly what I wanted to get, but there's no possible follow-up. It was mostly a desperation ultimate at that point. Meanwhile, Twisted Fate is just split pushing bottom because I guess that's the best thing he can do, and I agree, there's just kind of nothing he can do at the moment. We pick off LeBlanc, we get our bearings together just a little bit, but we can't muster any form of advantage. Because usually to kill anyone we need a lot of summoner spells or a lot of our abilities. So right now we're just kind of waiting for one person to get caught off guard. I go forward to the Scion and mostly just to use my body as a shield against the enemies, and then I get picked off. And then nobody's able to kill anybody on the enemy team, so we just pretty much get absolutely wiped out. Well, almost wiped out. We got 2 people remaining, but that's not enough to survive this game. Sadness, right? Still, though, the game is not over yet. At the very least, we can keep trying. They get Baron, and they're rearing to just go for Dragon. This gives us a little bit of time to sort of get our cooldowns back up. We can't absolutely protect bottom lane, by the way. It's fucking lucky that the Twisted Fate managed to survive, because it's actually going to be very important soon. We can't do anything about bottom lane. It's just going to fall. So we kind of tried, or at least showed our presence, but it was kind of pointless. But then watch this. by luck, I just managed to get everyone again in the enemy team except Sion because he's in his own universe, and we pick off Graves and weaken the enemy team severely. Thank fucking God. Twist of Fate didn't get melted earlier. They're so disorganized at this point because that caught them off so off guard that they just start getting picked off. I managed to pick up Poppy even though LeBlanc was chasing after me for some reason. And my teammates are able to ace the entire enemy team. Well, LeBlanc the acer after she gets too greedy to pick up her Blitzcrank. And we only lose one person. Blitzcrank, the noble Blitzcrank died. This is a humongous swing in our favor. And thankfully, that ultimate landed pretty much precisely where I wanted it to. I wanted to get only at least 3 of them, but I got all of them. This is great. So anyways, Sejuani, there's another topic to talk about her that a lot of people always do when they compare the trio of them, the Amumu, Sejuani, and Malphite. Technically, Sejuani does have the highest damage of all these kind of tanky initiators, but her damage is also not the easiest to use because of how it works. Like, if you are able to attach yourself to an enemy champion and hit them, you will do a lot of damage, but it will be very slow damage. It's over time. So Sejuani's damage is good in the long term if the fight lasts quite a while. But in most situations, you don't actually get to see it all. And there's a lot of ways to work around it, mostly because of how slow the damage comes out. So you can flash away from it, you can CC her, or whatever. In a situation where you get to stand there and just, you know, swing your flail around, swing your chain, then yeah, it does well. Either way, you got to see some destruction in the mid lane. It amounted to like a mixed bag. We got to kill a few of them, get a tower, but they also got to kill a few of us. Meanwhile, you can see that Ezreal just doesn't give a fuck about the rest of the team and is trying very hard to split push down bottom. He's still yelling at the Twisted Fate. They've been fighting the entire game. Me, again, I'm just trying to hold it together. We catch the Caitlyn, but she has flash and she doesn't die. So Poppy comes in like a wrecking ball. We're really out of position and we don't have any damage because Trundle's like miles away and the Ezreal is obviously worthless. So we don't really accomplish anything except killing the LeBlanc. It costs us so many resources, so we really can't muster up anything here. Trundle finally shows up, so we give chase, but his wall is insanely terrible, and it actually worked against us. We managed to catch the Scion and just start dealing as much damage as we can before we get knocked around. I believe, yeah, Trundle goes in. Ezreal is still in his own fucking world down bottom lane, and if Ezreal was here, perhaps this would have been a much more cleaner victory. Instead, 2 of us died, and Ezreal's trying to get the inhibitor, and of course he's not going to be able to. In comes LeBlanc and just blows up his ass. So yeah, it's starting to get to that point where Ezreal's stupidity is working against us. Fortunately, again, Twisted Fate and Blitzcrank are rather on the ball on this. They're playing very, very risky, but at this point, it's the only way they can play. We can't let the enemy team continue just to dominate us. We gotta at least trade positively or try to move the map towards our favor. If we get a good initiation, if we get a good pickoff, then we can definitely win. The Scion isn't enough to deal with me or Blitzcrank as bodyguards. So here's just hoping we get a good fight. Now, we're also losing deeply in objectives. So as long as this game takes, the worse it's becoming for us. So we kind of have to end it as soon as possible. But that, again, is not possible. Both Ezreal and Trundle are off again in their own little world and not grouping up with us. We need to team fight. We are a team fight composition. If you don't fight as a team composition, then you pretty much lose. They're trying to split push when it's not advisable. The enemy team has a lot of champions that could easily catch up to us, or at least prevent the escapes, which is sadly what Twisted Fate is not realizing here. We get desperate because he's kind of like our strongest champion right now, so we want to try to protect him, as you can see in the minimap, but we don't get there in time before he gets finished off. So as we arrive, we're already kind of in a bad situation, and 2 of us are, me and Blitzcrank are doing our best to survive. Sadly, Blitzcrank has to give his life, and I managed to survive. Top lane, Ezreal and Trundle, for whatever reason, joined their split pushing composition right there, and managed to get a tower for just us. That's not very worth it. Now they're going for Baron, but Trundle's not doing a jack dick about it. So we're in a bad situation now. I hate this. I desperately try to go in, and I smite it when it's at around 80 health. So I miss it by 1 auto attack. If this had been a good smite, if I hadn't missed it, it might have not encouraged them to push as hard as they can right now. Trundle, in his last-ditch effort, is porting down bottom lane and is going to try to push down the inhibitors, the remaining towers and the Nexus to win it. But he actually gets really damn close, but he can't compete against the full brunt of the enemy team with Baron. So as much as he tried and as much as we wished he had gotten it, no, it comes out negative and we lose. My goddamn. Ezreal has made me hate the color blue now after this. Solo queue, isn't it wonderful? This channel is supported by my sponsors, Crunchyroll, Pro Build Systems, and Loot Crate. Check out the description below for links to the websites. Signing up for any trials, including Crunchyroll's free anime trial, greatly supports my channel. Also remember to give the video a like to support the channel and subscribe if you haven't yet.